Hi, my name is Matt Dempsey, and I'm the data editor at the Houston Chronicle. And I'd like to thank everyone here for voting for me so I can complain about my job for 5 minutes. But seriously, this isn't about me. It's about how few of us in newsroom leadership position, or few of us, let me try it again. But seriously, this isn't about me. It's about how few of us are in newsroom leadership positions, even though data journalism has never been in more demand. Either we're all terrible editor candidates, or we're just not getting access to the same career path as other journalists. And honestly, I think you're awesome, so it's probably the access thing. In planning for this talk, I reached out to data journalists from around the country. You know, like reporters do. The responses were similar across the board. One said, it's rare to see data journalists become section editors. Another, Brian Hammond of the New York Times, said last year that there's not a clear career path for where to go next. It's difficult for us to get access to traditional career paths because far too often, data work is still not considered journalism by many. I've had to argue for bylines at every place I've ever worked. And I had to fight for the title editor in my current newsroom while essentially having the same arguments over and over again. But I still don't oversee a team of reporters. And I know it's not just me. One data journalist told me, I was more respected when I was an intern fresh out of college. When I moved into tech and data full time, it shattered my credibility as a journalist. According to the 2017 News Nerd Survey, 30% of us feel our organizations don't understand the value of our work. Too far. We're treated like a service desk, and not as equals with our traditional reporting counterparts. The same thing happens to photojournalists and graphic artists, but that doesn't make it okay, for them or for us. One journalist told me there's a preconceived notion of what makes a good editor. They said visual and data skills are viewed as nice-to-haves and not core expertise. But what's the alternative career path? If you work in a small or mid-sized newspaper or newsroom, you're probably the only data person there. Managing other data people isn't an option. In larger newsrooms, it's possible to lead a team of data journalists. But let's be clear, there's not that many teams out there that do that. And far too many of us have superiors with no data skills or expertise. Most of you were the first person hired in your newsroom to do the job you do. According to the 2017 News Nerd Survey, 39% of us say they need editors who are qualified to supervise the work of a data journalist. I've never had one, and I've been working as a data journalist for 12 years. This isn't just an ask for a title for title's sake. We can bring a unique perspective and approach to an industry that's been struggling for years. We know how to solve seemingly intractable problems in news gathering, and we can apply those same skills across our newsrooms. Really, who better to understand some of our challenges, like the lack of diversity among news staff? We know the numbers, and when we see the numbers, we do something about it. So how do we fix this? How do we change the minds of those in charge? How do we get more people with our skill sets in leadership positions? First, help your current leaders to understand that this is a problem. If you're a newsroom leader in the audience or watching on video, I'll start. Right here in front of me, there's a room full of amazingly talented people. This is one of the first places you should be looking when you're trying to find a new editor. You don't want to lose these talented people. The Open News Survey says 53% of data journalists leave their jobs not because they're underpaid, but because they lack career paths. 40% leave due to a lack of... I literally lost my thing. I pressed the wrong button. Just a second. This totally happened also. I'm not freaking out. It's okay. Hold on. I'm almost there. You don't want to lose these talented people. The Open News Survey says 53% of data journalists leave their jobs not because they're underpaid, but because they lack career paths. 40% leave due to a lack of leadership or direction in the newsroom. And that doesn't sound like a bunch of mercenaries to me. It sounds like passionate people who want to take our journalism to a higher level. It sounds like future editors to me. The traits that make us valuable data journalists give us the potential to be amazing leaders. If we're good at what we do, we have excellent news judgment, we know how to multitask, we're great collaborators, and we successfully coach others. And yeah, if we need to line edit, we know it doesn't work with writing too. It just can't be that the only qualified people to direct coverage, develop staff, and lead our newsrooms are those who are excellent writers first. Great editors are in short supply, and we've all seen it. If you're a data journalist and you aspire to management, share the research with your bosses. Share this lightning talk. Tell your superiors and coworkers you want to be considered people. That's too small a job pool. We need more of us in positions of power. If the role you want doesn't exist, make your case for why it should. Make the case directly to those in charge. Open their eyes to the possibility. And while we're storming this editorial Bastille, let's support each other as we develop managerial skills, just like we supported each other as we learned tech skills. If you've made it to management, pass along what you've learned. If you've been blocked, say something. Silence is deadly to us. If you want to learn how to do this, ask for help. If you know how to do it, help others. It shouldn't have to be this way. Starting today, starting right here at NICAR, start demanding a seat at the table. Because you deserve it, I deserve it, we all deserve it, journalism needs us there.